Welcome back, Legacy. Today to decisive victory. But Rusty, credit to Mammoth, they made Legacy work, harder than I expect they probably thought they would.
I think harder than anyone expected they would as well, right? And that's considering that they just had a wet noodle in the top lane running around trying to contribute for the team as well. So, if you take that into consideration, Topoon's a monster. They still put in a lot of work to at least delay Legacy's inevitable win.
Skimmy, your room has turned pink, and I don't quite know what's happened.
Look, I think if we've got filters in real life, they've applied to my camera right now. I think my auto-focusing just changes every single moment. So you know what? Once we're off camera, I'll try and flick it, whatever.
Do you have sun? Does the sun on the sunset come into your room?
Maybe I need to shut my blinds. We'll do that off. We'll do that off camera. Eh?
We'll wait if you want to do it now. That's fine.
I can stand up, and we can just be unprofessional like yesterday. But I'm trying to erase that.
That's right. Professionals only sit.
Yes.
So this, of course, is the most professional of all the broadcasts we've got. We, speaking of professionals, have got a very professional partner on board with the broadcast, and that is Neosurf. Neosurf want you, the unprofessionals of Twitch chat, to join the professional opening titles of the OPL. Thanks to our partner Neosurf, you could be a part of the OPL opening video and win yourself a $500 Neosurf voucher to use in the League of Legends store. All you need to do is take a video of yourself joining the call, follow OPL and Neosurf Esports on Twitter, and then DM that video to @OPL. You've got until week 3 to get your entries in. Full terms and conditions are on watch.lollysports.com. Winner gets $500. 5 runners up get $100 dues each, all for use in the League of Legends store. So a big thanks to our partner Neosurf, the only solution that lets you pay in cash. Sweet, cold, hard cash online to thousands of websites. But the only one that matters, League of Legends, which of course is your favorite website. Are we a website? Can you buy things on League.com?
I don't think I ever have.
I think so.
Not that I'm aware of anyway.
Is that a thing?
Only in clients?
Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah. I think it's only in clients. So, look, I'm going to take it up with whoever wrote that copy, because now I look like an idiot. But it's time for you guys to look like idiots, because we've got all your dirty secrets. This is the Nick Bag.
There's merchandise. They could buy merchandise on the website.
Merchandise.
We're dum-dums.
In search of the shoe. Always coming in and showing us up. All right. I've
never been on the website to even look at that, quite honestly. The only time I've ever been on that website is to download the game.
I don't like what just happened there. So you're going to get yourself a 1-minute ban. There you go. That'll learn you to try to make us look bad on broadcast. Okay, so it's time to jump into the Nick Bag. Nick Bag, of course, is the segment where we help you fix your life. We've got a variety of questions in. We did ask for work-related questions, so let's start off with those. That feels like we asked for it. You gave it to us. The first question comes in from someone who I don't even believe that this is them, and I want to not believe that it's them because we all know how we feel about Ratty. But what are the most valued traits in a workplace, and how can I become a good worker?
Most valued traits. I think
so.
You don't want to whinger.
Skimmy, you have experience with a regular job, is what I would say. You've had a lot of time being a normie.
Yeah.
What are the best traits in a normie workplace?
I worked 10 years in retail. That's pretty rough.
Did you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, 10 years in retail. When I was 15, I got a job at the equivalent of Kmart back in New Zealand. And then after that, 5 years at a telephone company as well. So it's interesting with those kind of jobs, though, because you feel morally conflicted at times because you've got to hit targets like KPIs and all the rest of it. You've got to hit certain things. So there are definitely people out there with negative traits that try and push themselves across the finishing line. But no, retail full stop is pretty rough. I'm really anti-whingers. People just complain. There's always a solution. There's always a way to find something, I feel like one of the most desirable traits on the flip side of that has to be how good you are at Google searching, how good you are at finding information to overcome hurdles. So don't be a whinger. People just don't want to be around you if you're going to whinge 24/7. Bad vibes. There's enough for that online, so just move on.
That is so true.
Mine changes, again, what is your workplace changes what your valued traits are, first of all, so this is still a little bit vague.
Yeah, because
you know,
if you're a hitman, then like compassion is not something that is valued in your workplace.
Yeah, you don't need empathy as much as other workplaces would require. But like when I worked at a bar, the most valued trait was the ability to do your job effectively before anything else, because you couldn't hear anyone. All you had to do was try and understand and guess the thing that they said and make the drink quickly, right? So that was actually the most valued thing for me. But when I work in like a regular job that isn't with loud music everywhere, it's someone that doesn't come to work just to unload everything onto me so that I can actually get work done. Like, the ability to separate was the most important trait, but like, depends on your job, right?
Yep. I would agree with both of those, and I would add every workplace, or at least the bosses of every workplace, like people who like volunteer to do work. If they're like, oh, I've got this thing, be the person that steps up and is like, hey, I'll give that a shot, I'll take that on, whatever. But I'm with Skimmy, like, don't complain and just be nice. I've worked with so many inept people who are just nice and will always have a job. And I've worked with lots of talented people who are terrible human beings to be around. And you just go, well, like, particularly in like an industry where you're not at a full-time job and it's like contract work or, you know, more like what we do, you're never going to get jobs if there's just bad word of mouth for like, oh, this person's really difficult to work with. So yeah, that would be my biggest. So Ratty, basically just like deny every impulse that has led you to where you are currently in your life in regards to your personality, and then you'll probably become a good worker. All right. Next question comes in from Cider1, and then also from someone who didn't leave their name in the Google form. It's both questions are kind of the same, so I lumped them together. At Cider1 said, after 3 months of working from home, I think I've forgotten how to people. Any hints for getting back into practice? And then the unknown person said, after working from home for so many weeks, being social, especially with co-workers, is very tiring. How do I get better? How do we get better now that we've adjusted to the fact that our co-workers are our kids or cats?
Yeah, that is a good question, isn't it? I think none of us really know how to people nearly as effectively as we did beforehand. Depending on who you are as a person, one of the ways is just to get right in there, right? You'll learn by doing. A lot of people are kinesthetic people, so if you forget how to speak, just go and speak and, you know, deal with the bad things that come from doing it wrong. Or ease your way in, right? And just speak to that one person if there's anxieties in getting back into your workplace. Maybe just reach out to someone from the workplace, make that one friend again, and settle back in slowly.
I think that's pretty valuable advice. I know when I got my last normie job, when I was working in a call center IT department, it's like, you know, you want to be this outspoken person, you want to be always like hype, laugh, energy, but it's very hard when you don't know these people, right? You don't have anything to like really connect over. So I can imagine after taking a massive break, and I think it's a little bit bizarre from our end, right? Because we're kind of in a little bit of a bubble, given that we get to play games and we get to work from home, just, you know, shout at a screen all day. But, you know, if you're going back into an office, I'd probably say it's trying to find that connection of relevance. You know, hey, what have you been up to? What have you been doing? Because you know that you actually enjoyed something, both on the same page beforehand. So maybe that's gaming, maybe that's a TV show, maybe that's something you've been binging for like the last 3 months, something that you can relate over, and then, you know, you get the ball rolling. Your social anxiety, especially after that long time away, could be pretty tough, I'm sure.
I think lean into it. Just be like, it's been months. You've got PTSD from just being trapped at home the entire time. Like, you could say, I've chosen to go mute in order to be able to facilitate my re-entry back into society. You could try on a whole new personality. You could come out and just be like a different person. Like, be the person that you've always wanted to be. Like, the real you can come out soon. But right now, try on some things. Because it's been months. People don't remember what you're like to be around anyway. People are like, oh, yeah, that's right. Jane. She was nice, right? No, Jane's an asshole. She steals coffee from everybody. She eats people's lunches when they're in, even when it's labeled in the fridge. Yeah, she's the ratty of your workplace. So so you can do whatever you want.
You've got like a quota to hit here. How many times you can say that name, eh?
It just felt like we opened up with that question, then I felt like a bad person. I saw in chat, Juve said, "I'm the really good person that's not a good person, and that's why I don't have a job." Fact. I mean, you saw Juve's was on the broadcast at the end of last split, and then you saw that he and I, over the course of several weeks, had a very public falling out, and now he's not on the broadcast anymore. So what does that say? Also, I want to point out that Blue Unicorn 222 says, my partner Zappaletto played Valorant with you guys last night. Nick Boy, I give you permission to kiss him, even though he sucks hard at the game. So that was because I said that I needed the permission from partners to be able to kiss I don't know why I'm even
Source the
talking about
permission.
this.
That's
Yeah, I know.
amazing.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So thank you very much to a very understanding partner. Corey Strong? Corey? Is it Corey? It's Corey. Corey Strong.
Can we just
what should
bring
I
it up?
order in for dinner?
I need to know the name
I need to
first.
see it pop up,
I'm
eh?
invested. Crowy. Crowy.
Crowy?
Crow,
Oh, yeah. Why did I switch? Maybe I'm a little dyslexic. Why did I switch the O and the R? Crowy Strong. Crowy Strong.
Is it
What
wrong
should they
to
have for
say
dinner?
you shouldn't order in for dinner? You should just make something?
Oh, interesting.
Order in some ingredients and make what you want to make.
I'm notorious for this, actually. You know, the other day, I actually uninstalled Uber Eats, and then 2 days later, I just reinstalled it again.
Really?
Yeah, no, because, like, so literally, since I've moved here, the only expense I have is food. That's what I care about. That's the only thing I'm spending. So I'm saving a lot of money. But then I realized I'm spending it all on really expensive food, right, by just being too lazy to go outside. So all this time invested in being a sweat lord and gaming and trying to look good on MPL. And, you know, I'm just ordering food. Although, something that's really interesting for me since coming here is those, like, pre-packaged meals. Not like, you know, your nasty, like, 2-star health rating foods, but like these, I think it was like U Foods, that these, like, really nice packages of pre-made meals. Gets the ball rolling. I don't know, it really depends.
You don't
if
have that
like,
in New Zealand?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
All you have is like really nice cops and no virus and a great prime minister and
just super chill vibes.
But no
good
packaged
people.
foods, we're winning.
Not that I'm aware of anyway. I've never looked at it, but I know you could always buy those like ingredients box and it'd be like, all right, so here's what you've got. This is the recipe that we're going to give you. Go ahead and make it. I know for some people it can be quite relaxing, right? Just to like take like an hour out of your day, just cook. It functions a little bit like a shower. You get that bit of peace and quiet to unwind.
Yeah? Rusty?
No, I was saying absolutely on the
Oh, right.
relaxing part of cooking. Yeah.
Well, then I'm going to say you wanted to order in something because it's Saturday night. You've probably been cooking all week. You're exhausted. You're not doing any more. I'll answer your question. You're going to get Mexican. Enjoy it. All right. Something we're going to enjoy. It's game 2. It's Order versus Chiefs. It's the reason that Spawn's not here. We saw Chiefs absolutely ruin Order in the pre-show game, which Spawn had some problems with of every time we show a game versus Order versus Chiefs from the Classic Games archive. It always seems to be Chiefs taking down Order. Rusty, can they do it again tonight?
I mean, can they do it? This game, I don't know who's going to win, Nick. That's the thing. We've seen some unusual games, some suspect games from the Chiefs, and we have seen Order playing decently well so far. I feel like they can win this one. But any time that I say that about Order, they lose instantly in 20 minutes. So I don't really want to comment.
I want to take a neutral standpoint. I want to say that Chiefs may have a slight edge, just based on the amount of form they had last split, but almost felt like people started to catch on to their aggressive tendencies and they started to fall off a little bit by the end of that. So I want to say it's slightly favored, like maybe like 60-40 Chiefs, but I think it's incredibly close. I think, once again, these next few matches to close out week 2 are very telling of what those standings actually represent.
Order have to lose, though, because they have to go 1-1 this week. So I just wanted to make that known.
They have to. If they want to break their regular season curse, then they have to win tonight. But they won't, because Order are that classic team where you know what you're in for until you don't. So let's find out what's going to happen. It is Order versus Chiefs. It's game 2, and it's coming up with Max Champ Select.
And here we go for the second game of the day, Rusty. It's going to be a big one. Order up against Chiefs. Order, well, if they want to continue that curse, that meme, that style of play, which is we go 1-on-1, they'll be looking for a defeat today. But that's not how you want to open up the account.
Yeah,
here.
that's not
how we want to introduce this one. That is a
this.
terrible introduction to this one, and I'm sure I'm going to get roasted by some form of comeback from Spawn once we return to the hangout section. But for the Chiefs, they want to bounce back to the old glory days, the undefeated ways, if you will, where they hit like a 10-win streak. Absolute crazy performances we come into this one, and we touched on it a little bit before coming into this as to some of those high priority, high presence picks? Well, we've had 12 bans on Tavares. Never a single time has he actually been played. Then second to that is the Yuumi, which is either picked or it's banned, hence why we see it from the side of Order.
Yeah, I like seeing it banned for once as well. I really just think that Yuumi changes the game so much, and it's just not... It's not ideal. You know, Graves also being banned here means that the Graves and the Yuumi gone. So this game, compared to the last one, is completely different. And we're going to see a different style of League of Legends, even compared to most of this week, if I'm being honest with you. And so the draft start here from the Chiefs and from Dab Daddy over there on Order's side has started in a way that I'm a big fan of personally, because it means we do get a little bit more aggression. Like, there's the Karma, there's the Lulu, there's these Enchanter supports that do still exist. But they've gotten rid of a lot of the primary ones.
They definitely have, and what's already interesting to me is to try and take away even more of that threat that we highlighted earlier with Hayri playing the Zoe yesterday. They're going to deny that as their initial pick here, and then try and target a few of the picks that work definitely for the Chiefs, especially Croc, but also towards only. A very similar champion pool between the two of these junglers, and I do look forward to seeing a lot more of that aggression. We've had a few more slowed down games, if you will, with games going to the 35-minute mark and onwards. It feels like there's a lot more controlling elements of we need to assert ourselves in a very strong mid-game.
Yeah, this game is already pretty mid-game oriented, depending on where the Chiefs go with their third pick. So this is the option that they've chosen at the moment with the Ezreal, if this one is secured, and it will be. They have a bit more scaling, but the thing with Ezreal is he does have a massive 2-item spike, so still a lot more mid-game focus. The things that I expect to see from this point, however, depending on if Hayri's comfortable with the matchup, is he may go for the Azir again. Now, the Zoe's been banned away, the Syndra has been locked in, but the other thing that Hayri has, and I feel like I'm the only person who says this every single time just because I'm quietly waiting for it, is the Yasuo. That is a pretty big counter to the Syndra. He also has the Vladimir, and I don't know if he has it, but the Echo is my other third favorite option against the Syndra. There is also Fizz for those solo queue players at home that say, oh, my favorite champion counters it. Yes, but I hope we never see it. But Fizz is a counter to Syndra as well. These are things that Hayri could pick.
We did see the Yasuo come out once last split, and when it did come out, it definitely played well, definitely showcased why he has that tucked away in his arsenal, so I wouldn't be too surprised if we had that here. You've obviously got the kick from Lee Sin to facilitate it, make it a little bit stronger. And you can see they've already denied away the Orianna, which many people have said is not the best pick into the Syndra, but is definitely something that would favor auto drafting here, which is Wombo combo.
Yeah, definitely starts to be the makings of a Wombo comp. If they wanted to, that is. Of course, so I mentioned all of the counters, and I still think Azir is the one that I would be looking at the most. With a Kalista with a Lee Sin, something that scales, something that can hit the 3 items and be really powerful, be wonderful here for the side of Order. Chiefs have got both their carries locked in. They haven't shown their hand for TN in top lane. You can see the bans from Order trying to deny some of those carries.
Yeah.
And I wonder what we'll see from Swiper into him. Because will it be a blind pick top laner for the side of Order, and Swiper just plays one of his champions that says bring it on? Because the last time we saw that, Skimmy, we saw a lot of focus from TN into countering him and taking him down. Like, it's a pretty big thing between these two. Of course, they've got the rivalry.
The Master and the Apprentice, as you would say, both being on the same organization at a point in time. That being last year, in fact. And this is what we saw last time, right? It was the Akali matchup, I believe, into the set. And that was actually played by TN. He was the one in the Akali. So,
yeah, that's not a Swiper
that
champion.
Changes things around. I can't see Swiper yet. Not known for the Akali, so maybe this is what Harry's got tucked away for us.
So with this locked in, yeah, it should be going to the hands of Hayri. We await the champion for the top lane here for Order. It could be a type of champion that could be flexible with the Akali. You know, they could go between both of their solo lanes respectively. One of those is going to be taken away here already by the Chiefs, and that is the Ornn. So a couple more tanks thrown into the mix with their composition. And now that we actually have that Ornn locked in, we are looking for the support champion, it seems. And no Yuumi available for Dragku. No Soraka available for him. He hovers the set. Of course, Dragku is a top laner now switching to the role. But he's not going to lock that one in.
And I do like the fact that he's actually decided to go with the Karma instead, for the sense of once you've got the shield to empower those guys. But yesterday when when Avant drafted into them, they shoved their bot lane into mid, but then that wave was just decimated by Clear Syndra as well as the Yuumi for sustain, so we couldn't get bullied out. So I like the fact that they've continued this high presence on this Enchanter, a top 4 pick, especially in that bottom lane.
I'm a big fan of what the Chiefs have put together here so far. Their composition's actually just fantastic. It's a good front-to-back comp. Their wave control is decent in all 3 lanes as well. They have engaged. They have the potential for pick as well. They've got a decent damage mix as long as Katsuri stays on the mark with his farming and doesn't fall behind. When you look at the other side of the map here, though, it's still decent in dealing with what the Chiefs have. A lot of this comes down to the Kalista Taric, though. If they're able to get their combo off, the ultimate hits, they can sustain themselves through these fights pretty well. But I think at the same time, they don't even need to go for that 5v5. I think they'll be looking much more at placing Hayri in those side lanes, trying to get those picks where possible, and catching the Chiefs in rotation from lanes to when they're starting to try to group up. And if they're able to do that, superior vision control to set it up, and then just hit the buttons and execute better, then I think we'll see some very good things from them. And they have the capabilities, right? They've got a Lee Sin with the kick. They've got the Taric with the pick potential as well. It's not just about that Akali in a side lane.
It's interesting because I almost look at this order draft and say it looks a little bit Chiefs-esque. Katsuri's never played the Kalista, but they definitely like these compositions that just have a lot of pressure to collapse on a single target and delete them. So I think you raise a good point in that Order have this very strong potential to find small skirmishes and have good pick potential, but if they come together as a 4-5-man unit, which we've seen them do with great success time and time again, it adds once again even more components, even more elements of, well, how do we respond to this? Obviously, the Chiefs will have some very tanky boys in their end to try and turn the tide of that fight and mobility, try and keep them at bay. But this is going to be the big game to watch right now. Chiefs up against Order. One that will definitely have some very serious ramifications as to how the standings actually look by the end of this week.
So let's take stock of the 2 people on your screen right now. Every time I say that, we go away from them. Croc is the person that I wanted to discuss first, because when you look at a Trundle, you always look at the opposing team composition and say, who can he press his R button on? Well, in this game, he has maybe the Taric as someone that would be building pure resistances in a regard, but it's not going to be too outstanding. So, realistically, the Trundle doesn't have these massive ult targets that he's looking to take down. He does still have a great champion, but there is a decent amount of mobility overall from a Lee Sin, Akali, and a Kalista to try and navigate around the pillar. The slow is still incredibly valuable, I would say, above all else. So that Trundle, if he stays even, he's just able to get the pillars down in these team fights and start to look for synergizing with the rest of his team. If a pillar hits, an ult follows, and suddenly they've locked people down. That's how they'll get those team fights. And that can happen if he's ahead or behind. And I think that's an important point to note here, because only, I think, has to be at least even, if not ahead, to continue to stay relevant in this game, as a lot of the Chiefs can actually build those resistances, right? And that can actually start to handle the Lee Sin pretty well.
Both junglers, their most played is actually that Lee Sin, so they'll both be very hyper-aware of what it entails, as that it's going to be so much aggression starting things off here. At level 1, Exhaust comes out, and aggressively so, to make sure...
It didn't ever end.
Oh yeah, to make sure they could not fall on down, but that's level 1, of course, no skills unlocked, and this is the power that Rhea has on his champion. He's played it only a few times, but he's undefeated.
Yeah, it was actually just 1 summoner spell for 3, of course. Red didn't actually have the rend available, so he wasn't able to pull all the sticks out of Draku as they were stacking up. Flashes forwards, and I wonder if that flash was even necessary, considering he didn't have rend. Still a lot of damage, a lot of lane control able to be built from that. They have heals, of course, once the Taric starts to get some levels into him, rather. Where the Chiefs do not.
What I'm starting to really try and get my head around is how you look to try and shut down this harassment from the likes of, your Yumis, your Karmas. And when we have seen these aggressive lanes, they almost fall victim, I say, to almost waiting level 3, or maybe a jungle gank. By that point, you're banking on sort of things outside of your control. But this level 1 aggression we're starting to see.
Ooh, I don't think Only can do this. Chief's bot lane's already rotating here, so if he's going to go for this, he's just going to go for the smite. You can see Ayla's going to be the first to move. Both of the Chiefs could be here, though.
Jungler's down to half, but the damage from this blue buff continues to harass Only on down. They're going to lose that blue buff as a result. The rotation far too quick, the priority, as you highlight, in all mid and bot lanes. So that's a massive win here to get Trundle online.
We briefly saw top lane, and in that brief moment we saw Tian have a pretty big health advantage, but the one thing that I wanted to point out during that moment was that Swiper actually still had his potion where Tian did not. So now that you take stock of the top lane itself with the health bars on the top left and right of your screen, Swiper definitely having the advantage there. And being able to control his lane. So the unfortunate thing for Only, of course, is that he is passed towards the bot side of the map where the Chiefs were able to have first move. Even though that early trade didn't go their way, they still were able to push the wave in at least enough to try and get themselves the first move. There's Croc looking top.
And why wouldn't he at this stage? Tien is down to half, the wave is held even. Swipe has his flash and is already suffering so much pain as the pillar comes out. That's the first blood, and that gets Tien online.
Yeah, too easy there from the side of Chiefs. Only hovering nearby, but he's a level down and doesn't have a whole host of HP to his name. Teleport actually coming in. They want this.
Doesn't have any buffs, but that's not going to stop him right now. He looks to try and make something happen. Is he going to connect with that Sonic Wave as Swiper comes in with that teleport movement speed?
Still a good TP though, Skimmy. We'll save the Scuttle Crab and at least push Croc back. So that's a nice little win there. And while it's only a little win, he was going to teleport back to the lane regardless, right? So you take those little victories in your back pocket if you order.
Looking for something. Would have been a massive win if they could try to turn things around. Gets his buff back, most notably. Buys himself some time to close the distance in terms of that jungle XP. The race to 6, if you will.
So mid lane's going to be pretty nullified from this point. You can see the Merc Treads are actually going to be the item rush of choice from Hayri. Pretty standard for a lot of mid lane matchups if you need the resistances. Move speed also just going to be incredibly valuable for him. To the point where he saves his teleport, right? So he's going to be able to hit level 6, have the teleport up. Might get forced back to base intermittently just because he's not building damage where Claire is. And Claire, of course, having that extra ranged poke. But that TP advantage could be huge. It's once again Croc.
They're coming for it once again. They want to bully the old master. Swipe it down low. Grit comes in. Can he get enough damage done with that turret? He can!
Where do you get
Swiper trades one. Can he look for a second? The emotes come out and says, try gank me again. I absolutely dare you. And now more aggression takes place in the mid lane as Hayri goes for a flash forward and he takes one too many turret shots. Claire laughs in the face of adversity, hits him with the ultimate. And, well, this is an explosive first 6 minutes.
Yeah, there's a lot of skill checks going on here between these teams. Croc once again looking at top lane, not going to be able to find the kills. Tian actually saving the auto attack, it felt like, for after the W shield duration, and maybe it lasted a second extra than he was expecting. By the way, he gets the trade close to 2, but here we go again. It never ends.
It never does. Only is so damn low. Safeguards away, receives the heal, gets the armor as the dazzle connects. And that's all they needed to prevent the Chiefs snowballing this game out of control. The first dragon going the way of order here.
That was dicey. There was no smite for Only. He didn't have a lot of health to his name, but he had the first move of his teammates. Akali may not have had her ultimate, but she still had the ability to push Croc back. They'll be very thankful that they're able to get that first objective. We'll be looking at a replay here. It was down in bottom lane. Rare looking to go very aggressively onto Katsuri and just picks him apart. No problems at all. I mean, that's what's going to happen when you've got the tier first item for an Ezreal, right? You overstep your bounds against the Kalista ever. Especially when the Hail of Blades is there. And you'll get hard punished.
Yeah, once again, really wanting to put Katsuri into a uncomfortable situation like he was yesterday, where the Ezreal only really became a talking point at 30 minutes onwards. And that's a long way away and a lot of gold required. A playstyle he's too happy to obviously have to go around. There's once again now attention in this top side. You know this matchup. You know the battle between these two. This only shows up again. That's just going to be there to stabilize the lane, make it a little bit easier here for Swiper. Croc once again sniffing for trouble. So much attention show top side.
So while we're looking at mid lane as well, remember that Hayri with this super aggressive attempt at a 1v1 in mid lane was punished. So Claire's now 1-0, starting to get those items up a little bit faster. The trade we just saw in top lane was mostly about a damage chunk as well. Only is a level down in the jungle, so they're not going to be looking for a 2v2. And if he was trying to go super aggressively for a kill in top lane, probably wouldn't have started the trade with a Q hit. It does not maximize his damage output. But even just the chunk You can see the influence that it has on this top lane 1v1. It's half health with no potions to Swiper's natural health regeneration. He's in very good standing right now in that top lane.
First Herald goes the way here for the Chiefs. You can see sort of the punishment that's really come in line here for Harry. He thought he had enough to really resist the full combo coming out of Claire in that initial play by going for that Merc Tread Rush, but the high-risk play did not pay out.
Yeah, I wonder if he thought he had Ignite, perhaps, as well. You know, that's a big part of your damage calculations sometimes. You know how before, when I was talking about the kinesthetic players, or the ones that do things by feel, maybe just so used to playing Ignite and solo queue, and then, of course, goes to teleport and competitive, and a bit of an oops-a-daisies there. Hard to say that one for certain.
It's rather hard at this stage. We'll have to wait and see how things actually do play on out.
Never falter.
As things stands, all is well in this bottom lane, as the man I was just going to
bother.
highlight has actually just jumped into a pause. We saw a few disconnects happen there, so maybe having a few PC troubles. We'll have to wait and find out what the go is.
Yeah, Mr. Rare 7 has
got?
departed the game.
Bit of a connection issue is what I've been advised.
Okay.
So it'll be a few minutes away until we find out what's going on there. But let's take a quick stock check of the map right now. You know, you got a very healthy lead in that top side for Swiper, up by, say, 20 CS. Both have got themselves a kill. Jungle matchup, dead even right now, although Croc's been a little bit more proactive in his ability to counter jungle and form a lot of those ganks. Only still searching for that assist or that kill. And we saw what happened in the mid lane. So you're looking at a few power spikes across the board at this stage, favoring different angles to influence this one. But, you know, is there a particular area of this map that you'd want to see really get the ball rolling?
Man, I love games like this, first of all, Skimmy. I love when players are going to be able to look at one another and say, let's take the skill check. You know, let's just take the fight and see if I can outplay this person, because the risk of dying is low either way. It's probably just going to be a trade. Let's see what happens. And, you know, Claire comes in clutch, hits the Q with his ultimate, suddenly trades in mid lane happen like that, and it's a 0-for-1. But overall, man, like, I would still be looking at mid lane. When you consider the draft before, and you're talking about who's going to be able to be a big win condition for them, I was looking at Akali as someone that could go into a side lane. Not necessarily to kill the Ornn, right? Not necessarily to deal with Tian, who would be the person primarily in a side lane, but to have the 1-3-1 potential there. Because whoever else goes to that side lane would be in trouble. And I think that may still be true overall. You know, at the point that we paused, thank you for sending me the screenshot as well, the difference between them was minimal. He's still going to continue to scale. And I just bring this up because, like, if that worked, if that skill check did happen, and he was able to get the kill instead by outplaying Claire, then it's even better. You know, they are able to set themselves up even better than they would otherwise.
And I'm so interested in this top lane matchup in particular, because these are two champions that they have played and sort of formed their identity around in this initial split, or for split one anyway. And to sort of see them go for that sort of more traditional biff, draw as many resources topside, maybe be it for pride or maybe a bit for the win condition as a whole. Right now, I think the biggest dub has to be the fact that they showcased a back-to-back gank, but Swipe able to turn things around. And how many times have we seen him come in the mid-game, look for those massive flanks, those showstoppers that sort of lock in place for people and really shut down any kind of comeback condition. I think yesterday, especially when he played the Renekton, back-to-back twice, jumps in, draws so much attention, and then gets out by the sliver of his teeth.
I was thinking about that engage before as well, and I was wondering if the best way to actually play that one is to have the Trundle Pillar be the thing that kicks it off. Because, like, a lot of the time when Ornn uses his dash, right, it does take down terrain. I was like, if you actually just use the knock-up yourself and have the Trundle Pillar to slow them afterwards, he's stuck, right? I don't think he had the flash. At the end of the day, they weren't going to be able to get that one. The first gank was good, Skimmy, I will say. The first gank was fantastic. And Only's attempt of doing a similar thing later in the game was not going to be able to garner them any kills. So the second one was the point where you're like, okay, this is that, like last game, right? That nail in the coffin for the opposing top laner when suddenly you're a 0-6 set, but Swiper just comes up big. He does it by himself. He's able to get them some kills and punish the over-aggression, honestly, of Croc and Tian.
I'm interested to, if we return now to that bottom lane, see exactly where things go with this Ezreal, because we're seeing more and more now that it is the Frozen Fist as opposed to the Trinity Force. More armor, more mitigation, more ability to stay online, and complement that with the Death Stance. You become an incredibly nimble but very tanky AD carry that not a real kill threat, but I suppose you subtract that out of the equation and say, well, we're just not going to make you relevant for the majority of this game.
Yeah, the Ezreal builds, man, it's Muramata. Like, that item is just bonkers. It's so strong, and it works with Ezreal so perfectly, right? So he can afford to go Death Stands, he can afford to go Iceborne Gauntlet, just because he's going to have so much base damage from that item being completed and upgraded. So it is one of those builds, and we are seeing it a lot more. You know, Spawn actually mentioned this to me earlier as well, but in the LEC, they are rushing Death Stance third, regardless of your champion, regardless of any circumstance in a game. And a lot of times, in our first weeks of the OPL, we were like, maybe a Blade of the Ruined King here would be better than a Death Stand. So, you know, maybe X or Y, but there you go. The meta in the LEC has proven that being tanky is better. And especially with a lot of champions running around that is trying to burst you all at once, I can totally see the validity in that. And imagine dealing with an Ezreal that is impossible to kill. He has resistances of both types. He has a dash up every 3 seconds as long as he's hitting his Q, and the Q slows you. That's just misery.
It's interesting as well, right? Because we talked about this yesterday as to how the meta is almost defined in some of these minor regions as to, you know, before LEC and the LCS go live, you know, they have this very much ingrained idea of this worked in scrims, this has worked in solo queue, I want to try it out. Hey, let's just try it in the stage game. You know, we are still playing from home. There is going to be that comfort of, you know, this worked for me here. You know, okay, it's a actual competitive match. Let's just try it again, right? So to see how things decide to try and change going forward with, you know, LEC and that all now back online, I start to wonder if things will change, because we keep seeing more and more of this Ezreal. And I spoke to Tally once again, you know, as to, you know, why is this such a prevalent pick? And he says, look, you know, it just gives you so much control. It's very early, very easy, and we're seen as a big priority on the likes of, you know, Karmas, Yumis, and everything Enchanting to just crush your bottom lane, get those early items online, and then, you know, shut them out before those luxury BF swords can even come into effect.
Yeah, and especially when a lot of your junglers are things like Graves, right? You can just have that Ezreal to be self-sufficient while you can play around your jungler being strong, disappear from your lane and start to help him as well. We are back into the game, everyone. We will be able to talk about relevant League of Legends a little bit more again.
No hypotheticals here. We are online and back and ready to roll. Hitting at the 10-minute mark. Nothing separating these two teams, as we mentioned before. There are individual wins in those individual lanes. For that major skirmish, or that major component to come online before these teams start to pull away.
So what are we waiting for? With a minute, 25 seconds until the Mountain Drake. Rift Herald is not going to be out for a little while as well. I think that objective is a pretty important one to look at. I'm very curious as well for what the Soul will be, as we have two choices now, obviously. We'll hold that thought for the moment. A bit of extra damage goes onto them. Ocean Drake would be gnarly for both of these
It really
teams.
would be.
The last thing you need is a Taric having an Ocean Soul.
Because we don't really think of Taric as being this sustained king. It's all about finesse with that timing, be it on his Cosmic Radiance in particular, but sacrificing the common Enchanter sustain for just the more throughput aggression. And we know how aggressive Vela can be. Saw how well he was able to play from behind yesterday as the Fresh to shut down the aggressive set. So excited to see once again how he can perform here on the likes of a Taric.
A really nice passage of play there from Rare. Just really heavily harassing out Katsuri and Drag, who does it basically by himself with the soft assist from Ayla. Pushes him back, and what this grants is the free reset, right? Now, there is still going to be some trading in the mid lane happening. The Herald's going to be summoned, and Crocky's going to make sure that this one dashes in just for some plate gold. But that free reset does actually buy a little bit of space here for the side of Order and their 2v2 to work around the map. And taking into consideration that only is now level 6, is of course level 7, and the Drake is up and well now, Order should be equipped, if they want to get near this Drake and look for a fight.
So Chiefs force their hands and make them face check as well. So much pain going away on towards Ayla. He feels like he's juked it all, but skill shot after skill shot. And True Shot Barrage puts a bow on it.
Yeah, he flashed into it, unfortunately. There was a couple of ways that he could have flashed it. Just unlucky for him, he chooses the wrong one. That's the gamble of the Ezreal ults of it. And that was the numbers advantage. You'd think Order coming fresh off, they're grouped up, maybe they're going to reset, but the timing for the Chiefs was far better. They're able to get in there nice and early, make sure they're in a position to actually pick someone off. As we've got our answer, and it's not the Ocean Soul.
We're looking at more and more ultimates. A familiar situation here for Only, as he takes so much pain. Fate's Call chucks an Ayla. He responds with a one-man dazzle. The whole team join him. Teleport's coming on thick and fast. Flash across the wall. He wants to go for the range. He cannot kill Secure. The Cosmic Radiance.
Teleport's coming.
He's showing very aggressively, and that might be the icing on the cake that Chiefs are looking for. A familiar situation and a familiar fight where numbers low and members to capitalize on. Swiper evens it up. He finds the kill onto Dragku. Now, Harry showing his way. Harry jumps in mid-stun animation, but that doesn't matter. He gets revenge on towards Clay. He gets that shutdown. But Katsuri continues to scale, falling behind in the lane, but definitely not falling behind in these team fights.
And a pretty chaotic trade overall. The major advantage still belonging to the Chiefs when you consider the fact that they have too much health and Order. Maybe they've overstayed here as well.
They find them, and they find them again. Turret plating falls on down, and we finish the fight where it all began with Lee Sin getting caught out of position. Everybody formulating a response to try and capitalize on a turnaround attempt, but Chiefs just being too good in their response of their own.
Yeah, Order, I think that they stay in this game purely from the skill checks, right? There was a couple of little outplays there from the likes of Hayri. I didn't quite see how Swiper put in the work at the start of that one, so that's where we're going to direct our eyes towards. First, we could see that this actually is after the Drake fighter happens. The stun goes onto Dragku. Now, Red doesn't need to flash this one. He thinks that maybe with his flash he'll get distance, that doesn't have the Nimbus cloak from the looks of it. He's not going to be able to cover that. Now, Ayla just super dead. And you'd expect to see them disengage from this point. And they do. But the Ornn has already teleported, and now Swiper's a little bit caught. And what happens here is he does use his ult and just gets the W on a drag. So that's actually really nice from him. And Hayri is the one hitting the massive skill shots, 500 shutdown in his pockets. But all of this, like all of these good things that we're talking about from Order, are just using their raw mechanics to play the game, to pull something back when the Chiefs had the advantage from the second that TN teleported.
It was an incredibly expensive play for both sides, however. So many summoners were burnt to try and find an advantage that would favor them. But despite everything, a 2,000 gold lead is now here achieved by the Chiefs, and it's going to allow them to come back from their fresh shop to pick up the second Herald of the game.
And that's big. That'll break themselves the outer turret here as well. In mid lane, and with no hesitation, they'll summon that one straight away. 15 minutes into, there isn't going to be any turret plates to speak of. Skimmy, but breaking that mid lane outer turret is going to be very nice for them to get. Opens up the map control just that little bit more. And if we're talking about the last Drake fight that we had, with the Chiefs being able to get the picks early and nicely before the Drake actually was contested at all, then they set themselves up even easier to do it this time around. In fact, they're pushing a second.
That's beautiful. They keep numbers in mid lane, guarantee a second headbutt. Now they want to punish, they want to find that fight. The skill shot check is so damn strong. With Lee Sin and Akali lucky to be alive, and his Chiefs were hungry for blood.
That was one heck of a force coming out of Order there. Maybe thinking they could get the pick onto Croc as he had overstayed, but the Tarek stun did not connect prior to them looking to collapse onto him. Swiper, he's going to smack down this top lane turret. Try his best not to die for it. He'll be fine in the end. So they still get something back, but almost 2 turrets in mid lane for the top lane outer turret. It's just the cherry pickings off the top as they can for Order.
And you'd say that, you know, that entire Chaos passage of play all started from the fact that they were the first to rotate through to mid, to start off the push, to force the response from Order, to give themselves time before that dragon spawned, to set up that phase check. And since then, they've pretty warmed up to the idea that, look, we can fight. We have so much damage right now. We welcome their invitation to come and look at us.
So we did hit that point in the game, right, where Order with one item are a very dangerous team to deal with. The Blade of the Ruined King, the Hextech Gunblade, once those are done for the Akali, once those are done for Rare as well, they were going to start looking for those fights. But that's the thing, right? We saw Chiefs handle them pretty well. Stan's just given a warning signal. Don't you come over this wall. And now the Chiefs starting to get closer to that 2-item point themselves. You know, that point in the game where they're just overbearingly strong.
Out comes the ultimate, Cosmic Radiance negates a lot of that. Is there a flash forward for a two-man stun? Do they find the picks for this one? It's a 1-for-1 trade so far, but they have taken Claire out of the equation. This could be a big win for Order if they can set themselves up with some more picks. They've got the kick on Croc, they've got the dash in from the Akali, but he is far too tanky, and they're forced to disengage again. They cannot look at this one. Tien is a raid boss. He's 3-0 right now. So tanky, and especially with the Mountain Drake in his arsenal as well. That is going to continue to scale. Now they fake check blind. The wall goes down and knock up onto Swipe. He's in trouble. He's buying time. The grit comes out. The team around him cannot find a way to get themselves into this one. They are soaking up skill shots. Hayri jumps in, drops the smoke screen, and drops his Hellfire to critical mass. Red looking for it, flashed away, and this time connects on the Karma, takes him out of the fight. But Chiefs, they respond with teleports, they respawn, he's dead, but comes back and gets Chiefs a double.
And the one thing that I could say is that the Chiefs are just so good at collapsing with conviction. They can do it so well as a team, and as fine, the teleports come in, they'll secure it. Order are the ones being very coy, looking for these picks around the objectives, if they can find it. But any time that they try, Katsuri is just pushing them back, Claire is pushing them back, and Croc with these pillars has been setting up Tien to hit those knockups time and again, and it's close. That's the thing, They were a couple of 100 health away from getting some picks onto the Chiefs. They get one, that's on the Dragku, but every single time it's Order are the ones that are really suffering the most. Now, in this fight, Ayla hits a pretty nice stun to kick this one off. There was also a good kick from only in the back latter half of this. But you could see Katsuri relatively untouched throughout all of this. Has the Conqueror proc, the kick doesn't connect on him. He's just dealing damage. He's just freely hitting, and this is that 2-item Ezreal point, right? So this is where you have the disengage. Maybe you reset. Order not the type of team to reset for free here. They see if they can get the picks, but then a pillar, of course, will lock them down. And that's the top jungle combo. Draku, I will say, probably should not have died in the position where he did. This is one of the undoings of the man swapping roles. May not have his grasp fully on positioning. Honestly not sure what he was hoping to achieve there. But the rest of the team comes in, and that's the point, right? The reinforcements on Draku's mistakes, instant.
The sustained fight there, buying enough time for Claire to come back, TP in, and still influence that fight, really paying off here for Chiefs. And you start to look at Order and go, they are very reliant on hitting these skill shots, finding those targets, sniping them away, having quick short bursts. Long these fights are going on, they are taking so much pain and harassment. Only once again hits the insect, gets the Radiance, and gets himself out in an invulnerable nature. But Rare gets absolutely shredded. No flash from the fight before, and no chance to survive. Ezreal having an absolute field day, hitting skill shot after skill shot. Hayri jump in the back line. He wants the tasty treat, but Claire will deny him. More double kills. And more success here for the Chiefs.
Yeah, what can you say? It was a nice attempt to pull a rabbit out of a hat for Order, but they're not going to be able to find the rabbit. No magic to be seen today from them. Chiefs are just going to wipe the floor this time around. They've started the snowball just a little bit too far out of control. We'll see what Swiper can do, because he has been undetected until now. I don't know if he can do anything. He's going to be pushed back.
Face checking for vision, hasn't taken too much damage right now. The Baron is down to a third. It's very low here. Rusty Showstopper slows down too. He gets exhausted immediately. Buying enough time for Eda to now show up. Rare on the flank. So deep. I don't know if they have enough time. They have to force it. Teleports are coming on in. They get it. That is the Chiefs online right now. They find a kill. It's a 4v5. Baron buff is online, but they turn things around now. Here is Rare starting to ramp up the damage. He's got the barrier. He has the survivability. How many Baron buffs can they deny? Seems to be two here, Rusty.
Yeah, they're only going to get two people down. Katsuri even taking one with him. So they are definitely in the driver's seat still, are the Chiefs. I like the attempt, again, from Order. They're not going to slow the game down and say we can't fight in these situations. They are trying to get everything that they possibly can out of the game. They are pushing the Chiefs to the absolute limit. Swiper actually hits a fantastic face breaker in here. Cancels the Ornn dash and the Ornn knockup. And that keeps him in this a little bit longer. Almost gets Claire. Almost gets Dragku. Dragku actually flashes away into the face of Rare once again and dies. But look at Katsuri. Dodges the tags on here. And that's all it takes for him just to get that 1-for-1 trade. Bit of extra money into the pockets. Hayri gets a shutdown. We take those.
Incredibly strong are Chiefs right now, and you can see that Order are looking to try and find any pick they can at the moment. The squishiest target, the easiest target to get out of the fight has been Draku so far. 3 back-to-back fights, and the first target to always fall on down. You can see that Rare really respecting the amount of magic damage that is coming out so far, especially from the bottom half of Chief's draft. He's itemized himself not only with the Merc Treads, but also a second item rush on towards the Wit's End.
Yeah, I don't mind that. Obviously, there's other choices that you could make. You could go the Guinzoos to up your damage. You could go something like the Death Stance third now as well because the Wit's End is so cheap. And that's one of the reasons that I like. You know, there is magic damage on the enemy team. That is at least majority of the damage. Of course, the Ezreal is large enough to perhaps bring some back his way. But because it's so cheap, he's got the Merc Treads as well. He's completely MR stacked and now just has to respect Katsuri. You know, there's only one real target that is going to be super terrifying to deal with compared to multiple. And it means he can start his third item faster due to how cheap.
Well, Claire has definitely unleashed his power at this stage of the game. He's 6-2-6, has the Rabadon's cap, will hit like an absolute truck. Not to mention, he still has the Baron buff online as they now force a 4-man siege towards bot side. Open themselves up with potential win condition, draw resources to the bottom side of this map for superior Baron control and a very easy rotation towards this dragon to put themselves onto Soul Point.
Yeah, that Wizard's cap's going to mean he one-hits pretty much everybody except for Rare. Swiper's going to try and hold this, but there's 3, there's 4 waiting in the wings as well if they want to look for this opportunity, or they may be bested.
Summoners are available. It's going to be Hayri that does not have the flash, nor is it Lee Sin to find those creative angles at which they can get those picks. Eventually turns the tide of this fight. At this stage, defend the base. You haven't lost an inhibitor. That is a win. Sacrifice that dragon and gear yourself up for the next one.
Yeah, it's going to be a double cloud given over with no contest you would expect here from Order. Now, 20% ult cooldown reduction is a pretty nice thing to have, honestly, if you look at their composition for the Ezreal, for the Ornn. Pretty massive win for those two. Very tanky now as well is most of the Chiefs roster. You know, we spoke about what a Wit's End could do for magic resistance tankiness for Rare, but if you look at the other side of the map, the only person who isn't building items with resistances right now is Claire. That Ezreal's going to be very tanky. He's now got the Frozen Fist upgraded from the Iceborne Gauntlet.
Has gone full glass cannon with a little bit of utility with the hose, and the whole team really has so much utility, ability to control areas of the map, be it hard or soft CC, making it very difficult for Order to access that back line.
And if this game does slow down, if it does grind to a halt, I think that is something that massively favors the Chiefs here, because they can play that slow cerebral game of League with the advantages that they have. Very hard to actually have that side lane split push that we spoke about before that Hayri could potentially do. He is set up there right now, and we will start to pressure and push forwards. But what can he do if there is an instant ult from Tian in a side lane? What if the Chiefs go 5 bottom right now and just push in? Can Hayri even sit in the side lane? I mean, it's an exposed inhibitor. It's a pretty hard thing to prevent the Chiefs from getting.
Yeah, you can see that the Chiefs wanting to force this fight right now. Both of their solo laners are 2 levels up upon their opponents. They don't want to fall out of power here. They want to showcase what they can do. They cannot allow Order to catch up. They're going to force that fight. They're going to destroy this bottom inhibitor. And Order say, now it is the time. The Dazzle does not connect, but Ayla gets chucked into the backline and knocks up 2. As Harry jumps in aggressively, but gets absolutely shredded by a Death Crown Syndra. They finish what they started. One inhibitor falls them down, and now it's a 4v5. May just turn their sights through to mid-wave, but that is going to be a 2-man knockup. That is fantastic there. Swiper looks to try and take out the Ornn, looks to try and find some form of advantage. The Sonic Wave goes missing. The power, Rusty. It's the raw strength.
Yeah,
so strong.
Yeah, Chiefs are unstoppable. Order try and pick this fight. I'm pretty sure Hayri's got the Frozen soundtrack going. He just lets it go, covers an entire screen of distance, but just dies. And it felt magical to watch. There was never really anything he was going to get from that. But we're teleporting again. Let's go.
They don't want to chill. He teleports straight into a stun. And he survives for as long as possible. He gets the shield at the last stretch, but Swiper has no ult. He has no flash. He has the grit, but it will fall on down. Katsuri picks that one up. Now it's absolute chaos in the mid lane. Assassins flying and damage dealing. Can they find one? He jumps in. He flashes out. The Comet connects. That's a double. The map lights up blue, and in their colors, Chiefs absolutely crushing Order here.
Yeah, definitely a doom situation for Order. There was a point in this game where the Lee Sin hits a kick, it's on to Katsuri, and normally you'd be like, fantastic, we've hit the carry, we've kicked him into my backline. But Katsuri is so tanky that he just walks forwards. The second you kick him in, he's like, thank you for the lift. And Uber delivery, there comes through and feasts on Order. Pretty easy victory in the end for them, but Order go down. Absolutely just throwing haymakers and hoping one connects.
They tried to fight fire with fire there. They forced fight after fight. There was no time to slow this game down. We weren't having a 35-minute 40 game for yesterday. We were out here for bloods. Unfortunately, at that stage of the game, too much had been farmed, too much fuel in the tank there for Chiefs, and their major carries, which is so damn scary.
Yeah, they definitely were. It was another big performance from Claire. I think that's 2 Syndra games in a row and 2 very decent performances coming out of him. And I think he may just be the only person consistently playing Syndra at the moment as well.
Once the stand-up performance there for the Chiefs, back to fighting ways that will put the Order back in their familiar spot of a 1-1 finish. We're going to jump to a quick break, and when we return, it's Game 3 of the night.
Today is the NeoSurf Cup, and we're going to be playing against Misfits, so hopefully we can bring home the win.
NeoSurf is simple, safe and secure. You can go to your local shop and get a voucher code and use it online, preferably to buy League of Legends skins.
It's got it! This is deadly! It's got it!
Welcome to the 2020 OPL. I am Nick Boy Richardson.
And that's a beautiful hemo play onto multiple members. He gets himself a double kill.
It's Ray's doing what he does, the team fight king.
We love everybody. We love the OPL.
If you're craving the taste of your favourites, head to Macca's for a fast, safe and contactless drive-through experience. For your Macca's run, contact-free, we'll be here.